Well, everybody, here we are at the top secret testing site for SNG Studios, and we're going to take this lovely Type 7 U-Boat for the first time and put it in the water, and you're going to get to see it live. If it blows up and bursts into flames, you'll see that. If it sinks to the bottom and little men come up screaming for help, you'll see that. But this is the first time we're going to put it in the water. And of course, if you've been watching the videos and the bent antenna, you'll remember that I put foam up high all through this as a counterbalance, as a flotation, and a lot of weight down below to keel it. And there's really no way to predict exactly the first time you put it in the water how it's going to behave. You might need more weight, you might need less weight, you might need more foam to get it to sit upright in the water. But sometimes I get lucky and actually hit the mark. So extending the antenna all the way, we're going to go ahead and put this in the water the first time. The lights are on, they have to be on even though it's daytime. We can still see them quite clearly. So we're going to put it in the water and we're going to find out. Everything is closed up, right, Steve? Yes, it is. Okay, I'm going to let that just kind of go like that. Let it take on some water. Oh my, my. Oh my, my. So far, so good. Okay, we're going down below the actual water line of the boat. So it looks like I need more foam in it. Yeah, it's a Dex awash. But let's see what happens when I pump the pump. Don't know where that air is coming from. That's a bad sign. So I think what's happened is I've hooked up the pump wrong. We have backwards, forwards, all that works fine, but we've got a problem with those bubbles. We should not be seeing that. So what I think has happened is that it actually kind of came up more. It's pretty solid that way, so I may not need much more foam in it. We'll find out. Now this thing weighs a ton when it's got water in it like this. So you have to let for it to all drain out, and we're going to find out what's wrong. This comes apart very easily. There's no water in there. I was definitely seeing bubbles, though. And this is what will tell me, because I definitely saw bubbles. Interesting. So everything's hooked up correctly. There's no water inside at all. Out goes to out. In goes to in. That's all correct, too. Let's turn it off. I think this is where we were seeing it come out of. I don't think the valve's closing all the way. And so the tank is getting filled up. So the only way I'm going to be able to tell is stick it back in the water and see what happens. Let's see, I'm going to put it back in again. I'm going to watch what goes on inside the ballast tank. No, 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 no. No, 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 we don't want you to do that. There we go. Yes, as I suspected, the ballast tank is filling up with water all the way. It is not closing the valve, so we have to find out why that's doing that. Radio's on. Radio's on. Aha, I can see the valve isn't closing all the way. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it push. Now it's open, now it's closed. Let's stick it back in there and see if this time it's staying closed. So I suspect that this boat's trimmed rather well. It could use a little bit more flotation in the back, but when the tank's full, it's sitting right. And the problem is that the valve that closes off the ballast tank is not fully closing the ballast tank off, so the ballast tank continues to fill with water, which is why I can't get it trimmed right. But even at that, I can see that I need some more flotation foam in the back to bring this up to where the front is, right about to there. So I'm going to at least do that because I can do that today. And then I know that once this ballast tank problem is fixed, this thing's going to sit right up beautifully. Now what I did is I put a little bit of pink foam in the stern, and I knew I'd get wet. That's about where it's going to sit when the ballast tank is not filling up with water. Wow, that's really nice. So I'm right there. Once I get the, I may have to add a little bit more weight to get the trim for underwater, which is what it should be at right now. I'm going to try going under, getting rid of some of the air. So now I want to trim it to, so the sail is basically just sticking out of the water a bit. So that should be a no-brainer to do. And just taking off the top again. There's no, I see that we have a lot of water inside the cylinder, so we have to stop right now. This cylinder has leaked for some reason, and we got water with the lithium battery, which is not a good thing. So after a lot of fussing and mutzing around, I found the problems. They were no big deal. Ballast tank's working right. Found the leak. So we're gonna do this again. I didn't think I could do this at home, but the sub's easy to work on, so as it turns out, I could. I'm gonna turn it on, providing I have the radio on first. Radio is on. Jeez. And sub is now on. And it just closes down like that. Yeah, everything's working. Let's see. Okay. So now that the ballast tank is not, I've adjusted the valve so that it's not letting the air out of the ballast tank. There's always that hesitation. We put it in the water again, and this time it should not sink. It should just go to the water line and stop, he says knowingly. Pretty close. It's still a little heavy in the bow, stern. Could be sitting a little higher out of the water, but boy, the trim's nice. Let's see what happens when we dive. Here we go. That's quite normal what it's doing right now. Love that sound. That's a good sound. You can see the hatch, emergency hatch is opening. And that's the air coming out of the ballast tank. And you got to break the surface tension there a little bit. Well, that looks real good to me. So let's go back up. Takes a while. It looks like we're a little stern heavy, but hopefully the valve up here, there's a valve up here that I'm hoping came loose. Oh yeah, it's still coming up out of the water. Oh yeah. Yep. We are bow heavy, stern heavy. But my goodness gracious, does this ever work good? What I want to do now is just put a little bit more foam right about here. But I think that's it. This concludes a successful test of the Type 7 U-Boat. Thank you so much for observing all safety precautions, being on board on this flight with me. It's making bubbling noises. We'll see you next time at the pond, or in this case, you'll see me at a pool in Ojai next week.